Now, if you get your news from Breitbart, Newsmax, Fox, or the Christian version, CBN, the Christian Broadcasting Network, from a prophet, or from local podcasts that are Christian-oriented, stop now. You're getting bad information, very bad information, and today we're going to talk about that. Hi, I'm David Tomsic, and this is Clear Signal. Today I'm going to discuss a particular program I found on a Christian station right here in the Pittsburgh area. Now, it's probably a syndicated program, and I found it on Word FM 101.5. Now, I was at the Sheets, right up the road from me, getting gas. Wow, that's Trump-spensive. You get it? Trump-spensive. $4.29 a gallon the day I bought it. I did get 3 cents off because I'm a Sheets Reward Club member. Still expensive, but I digress there. And on the program, on this radio station, I heard a guy, and I've heard him before, bits and pieces. And I was wondering the last time I heard him, where did this guy get his information? He's clueless. I didn't know who he was. So I listened to this Word FM program, and his name is Jay Sekulow. Now, I looked this up on the internet, and it came up that this program is a Christian advocacy and Christian talk program hosted by Jay Sekulow, his son Logan Sekulow, and a guy named Will Haynes. I don't know any of these people. I didn't know any of these people. So I looked Jay up. Now, Jay is a big deal. He's a prominent conservative American attorney, author, and media personality. I love it when they say media personalities. Am I a media personality? Only if you help me grow. Like, subscribe, and share, please. Now, he is the chief counselor of the American Center for Law and Justice. Just for your information, that center, that foundation, was created by Pat Robertson of the 700 Club fame. I don't have a lot of respect for Pat Robertson. That's a whole nother story for another program. Now, this guy focuses on constitutional law, religious liberty, and international human rights. When I read this, I was surprised after hearing his podcast. You see, when I'm saying be careful what you listen to here, because these people sound good. They sound righteous. They sound like God's voice. But are they? Now, this is a right-wing guy. Pat Robertson's organization is a right-wing organization. It's a Christian nationalist organization. Well, I talk about that on all of my podcasts on both channels, Clear Signal here and Loud and Clear. The reason is it's a dangerous ideology. That's what it is. It's not necessarily Christian. It's based on people believing, if you don't know, that this country was founded by God. He has his flag in it. That it's ordained by God. That God wants this country to be dominant. And its leader right now was chosen by God to lead us back to God. Donald Trump, the chosen one. I digress there too. So after I listened to this guy a little bit, I found out that, it's not that he's lying. I mean, I don't want to say that, but his viewpoints were skewed. Far right, ideologically. What he said, though, a lot of the information was wrong or misinterpreted. It was interpreted using Christian nationalist ideology, American exceptionalism, the light on the hill, one-sided view of the world. So it isn't so much that he was lying, it's what he wants to believe. Now, just as a point here, I have to listen to this stuff. It's what I call alternative Christian realities. I have to listen to it so I understand what they're talking about, where they're coming from. So I am a podcaster, so, I have to listen to this stuff. It's painful. Folks, it's painful. But I never thought I'd hear an educated man that's an attorney be so far off. And basically, what he was spouting was Pentagon talking points, Trump talking points, Israeli talking points, Zionist talking points, Christian nationalist talking points. These all fit in, and we'll explain why here. Now, for those of you that are watching this program for the first time, I am David Tomsic. I was a Christian nationalist. I grew up Catholic. I went to a Presbyterian church for many years. I've gone back. And I have attended evangelical churches. And I do still go to some of those churches, one in particular. Again, that's my history. It gives me a lot of knowledge and insight. I was that right-wing crazy that I talk about. I was a Reagan guy. Oh my, was I a Reagan guy? I was sold. He was the fixer of everything until I found out he wasn't. So when I voted in elections, I went from a Democrat to a Republican. I went from basically a liberal thinking person to a conservative right-wing thinking person. And I found out later, especially after this guy got in the White House, how dangerous and how obscene it really is. So welcome to Clear Signal. If you haven't subscribed yet, do so. Hit that like button. It helps us out. This channel, for me, has been struggling. I'll be honest. My other channels are doing very well. I think this is because I changed a lot of the format here, and I've kind of changed it this time. So if you're used to watching me more scripted, this is semi. I want to get personal with you because we're dealing with situations that are very personal. What's happening in the world should be personal to you. Anyway, these guys were talking about Iran. How evil! They attacked ships. They shut down a Strait of Hormuz. They threatened the world economy. They won't obey Donald Trump and his orders to reopen it. Now, before I go on, I want to let you know that before Donald Trump started the war on February 28th, the Strait of Hormuz was completely open. And it closed after the United States and Israel attacked Iran. So right there, let's start there. Jay, maybe he did talk about it, but I didn't hear it. And from his, his profile, from what I could see of him, that was a good thing for the United States. This is what we should have done. Evil empire. Now, if you realize everybody we go to war with over the years, because we're always at war, is evil. It's an evil empire. I argue with people today, right now, that think we're the greatest in history. We were. But we were based on a little different values back then. Human life should be sacred to me. It used to be sacred, at least more sacred than it is today. Today, seeing people killed, blown up, and murdered doesn't bother anybody. It's okay, as long as the U.S. is doing it. They do it to us. Oh, call out the bombers. Call out the bombers. You dare raise a hand to the United States, to Donald Trump? Well, Iran apparently did. So let's take a little deeper look at this. Jay and his little band of merry men didn't like it that Iran fought back. And these talking points they used, I'm going to go through and kind of counter them. Now, I can do a 10-hour video on this. I'm not. So I'm going to cut to the chase here. It's true and well known that Benjamin Netanyahu did help persuade Donald Trump to attack Iran. Now, these guys, Jay and his group, said that's not true. No one tells an American president to go to war. Well, except Benjamin Netanyahu. I mean, it was a bad idea. We know it was a bad idea. War planners know it was a bad idea. We can now see it's a bad idea. You got to be blind if you don't realize this was a bad idea. I said this a while back. And I'm no military expert. I talked to him. I basically listened to him, but I am not. I was not in the military, but what I understand was this was a bad idea. But you see, American power is worshipped. Donald Trump does. He talks about it all the time. Now, American power is based in 20th century tactics. Asymmetrical warfare came in the Russian-Ukraine conflict. And Iran picked up and used it and planned for it for over 20 years to basically be able to take on the United States, knowing what they would need to do. A new type of warfare. And the U.S. doesn't like it. Donald Trump doesn't like it. And in a sense, everybody who hates Iran, those that are left, because a lot of people are realizing there's something off here, has to realize that Iran is defending themselves. And they are. But let me go through some of this, because Christian nationalists cannot let go of the fact that we're able and should be able to do anything to anybody at any time. Drone them, kill them, bomb them, threaten them, cut off supplies, sanction them, overthrow them. We did it all. And people look at us, oh yeah, you guys do some bad things. No, we're the preeminent power in the world and God is behind us. Is he? According to Christian nationalists, he is. According to Christian nationalists, Israel is God's nation. That's his chosen people. So they should be able to do what they want, right? So we give them the bombs to blow up the buildings with people inside. They're all terrorists. See, this is the other thing that came out of 9/11. Everybody becomes a terrorist. It's the word of the day. It's the word of the century. It's the word of the new century. Terrorist. You know who were terrorists? Probably the founders of this country. When you're fighting Britain, a power, what do you think they did? Same thing. They did what they had to. I probably don't agree with a lot of the things they might have done. I'm not going to go down that road. Point is, if you're in a fight for freedom, for your country, you're going to do what you need to do. And I believe that's what's happened in the Middle East. We want to call them all terrorists, but many call them the resistance. Right? The resistance. Well, you decide. I'm not here to tell you what you should think. I'm saying if I was in that position and people blew up my kids in a building, I would be very unhappy. In fact, first day of the war, this war, who did the United States bomb? It bombs a school for children, girls. And I forget the number. Over 100 little girls were killed. Oh, Donald Trump said, I think the Iranians bombed their own building with one of our missiles, which we can identify. Iran wasn't at war at that time. We surprise bombed them. So you see where I'm going with this? It's lie after lie, but these guys like Jay will defend it. They'll defend it. That doesn't mean anything because we're always right. We're always right. We have a right to kill, murder, destroy in the name of God. You see, correct me if I'm wrong, but the words of Jesus in the Gospels doesn't match the words of Christian nationalists and Christian nationalist sympathizers today, like Jay. It's a different theology. You see, what these people are Old Testamenters. And I know that this is how people think. I know these people. They use the Old Testament as cover to get away with anything they want. Okay? They use the scriptures written in the Old Testament. They bring him forward to 2026 and try to fit him into the culture we are today. That culture of the Old Testament's dead. The Old Testament still has a lot of relevance in Christian world. It does. But you got to be careful what scriptures you use, what theology you create, because Jesus, as I say in all my videos, watch loud and clear. I'll leave a link in the description box to that channel. Go to that channel and you'll see where I explain how this is antithetical. This Christianity they practice today is antithetical to Jesus. Completely. The Jewish people had their time in the land. And God gave them land. It was contingent on them obeying him. They didn't. They still aren't. And you're going to say, well, they're going to take the land back. So you're telling me that Jesus, let's not use God of the Old Testament, Jesus, who is the God, would say, hey, listen, bomb the hell out of them. Kill them all. Genocide them. It's your land. Take it back. If you think that, if you don't even understand what I just said, there's something wrong with you. Seek help. Genocide is wrong. Those people that have lived there for 5,000 years live there. Can't genocide them. Donald Trump wanted to move all the people in Gaza somewhere else. You know why? Him and his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, for all you people who love Trump, they wanted to build luxury condos there. See, this is all they worry about. You see, that's all they worry about. Making money. It's obvious. He's made more money as president than anybody else has done in history. He doesn't take a salary because he's rigging the system. He rigged the oil markets and still is trying to do that. Playing the highs and the lows, the futures market. He was putting money in his pocket and the pockets of his billionaire friends. For you, you're out of the loop. So my rebuttal to Jay and his right-wing Christian nationalist friends, I want to say this. First of all, let's go with science and history. Let's understand things in the realm of science and history. I know Christians hate that. So I got to tell you a story first that fits into this, that ties into what I just said. A person in our family watches a prophet called Amanda Grace. Now, she makes a lot of money. And she prophesies. She prophesied about the fires in Canada. She knew they were going to happen. See, God's talking to her. I have a question for God. Why would you care to give her information about the fires in Canada? First of all, there's fires in Canada all the time, historically, for thousands of years. Woodlands have always had fires. We know more about them now because we can track them. We try to fight them. It wasn't a secret. Pretty much every year there's a fire. Remember the one a few years ago? It was a bad one. What end would God have to give her information about a fire? It made no sense to me. But people don't want to hear the truth. Listen, that's meaningless. You can try to find meaning in it, but the truth is, fires happen. You can throw a coin up in the air and guess at that. So when I say they don't like science and they don't like history, it's because it contradicts what they believe. Now let's talk about Iran, because this is where Jay went. This is where Jay went. Attorney Jay. These people hate us. They're at war with us. They want to kill us. They have terrorists everywhere in the world. All these things which haven't been proven. I don't see any terrorist attacks anywhere from Iran. We'll go through that because people can argue with it, but I've looked it up. In the Middle East, yeah, there's wars. They do have proxies, and we'll talk about that. Hold on. Now, back in the day, 1953, the United States and their friends at MI6, the British, which is another corrupt organization, they decided to overthrow the government of Iran. Why did they do that? Because the democratically elected prime minister nationalized the oil industry, throwing the British out. Now, whatever you want to say, maybe Britain did invest money. Well, let's pay your money back and get out of my country. But the United States couldn't deal with that. They wanted to overthrow him, and they did, and they replaced him with what we all know as the Shah of Iran. If you're too young, do some Google searches on that. Interesting stuff. Now, this was bad because the Shah of Iran was a brutal dictator. Didn't matter to us because we're back to getting oil. We're back to controlling another country, right? The Shah was our friend. Then the Iranians decided to take back their country with the overthrow of the Shah. Now, before you say anything, I give them credit. They got rid of this bum. But the U.S. didn't take it real well because, oh my Lord, we don't have control of Iran anymore or its oil. So what did the U.S. government do? The kind-hearted U.S. government that cares about people, cares about the world. What did they do? They placed harsh sanctions on Iran. They sanctioned everything, cut them off. Now, sanctions don't work. Historically, look it up. They don't work. They don't change the government. The only people hurt by sanctions are the people who are the citizens. They don't get the medicines they can get. They can't trade with anybody to get medicines, to get the things they need. Global trade is for everybody. We cut them off because, you see, we're big, bad America. And we're wearing the flag and waving it. And God bless us because God created us. God is behind us. So what Jay Sekulow doesn't want to know is the history of what happened in Iran. You see, to him, it probably doesn't matter. Let me tell you, 47 years of sanctions means it's here today, and it's part of the negotiations that happened in Iran. They're still pissed off, and I don't blame them. So then Jay was talking about Iranian proxies causing havoc around the Middle East. Yeah, they do. Well, I got news for you, Jay. The U.S. has used proxies for decades. Al-Qaeda and ISIS were used by the U.S. to destabilize large portions of the Middle East. Syria and Libya. They've been doing this for decades because they wanted to overthrow those countries without sending troops in. Who did they use? Basically, this was all part of the plan, and I got evidence of that. And I just talked about this in the Iran video. How do we know that? General Wesley Clark talked about it on Democracy Now! He got information when he went to the Pentagon that they had a plan to basically overthrow 7 countries in 5 years. You want to know who those countries were? You'd be surprised. Iraq, Syria, Lebanon, Libya, Somalia, and Sudan. So who's left? There's 2. Lebanon, which Israel is attacking right now, and Iran. Interesting. Trying to finish it. Trying to finish the job. Now, here's what they did. Not only did the U.S. have proxies, U.S. built military bases, 8 basically permanent military bases in the Middle East, and hundreds of smaller ones. Now, we wanted to protect the Arab nations, the GCC nations. Of course we did. You know why? Because of oil. Remember, here we go. Here's more history, Jay. More history that maybe you can't comprehend. History. The U.S. made a deal with Saudi Arabia in the 70s. You sell oil in dollars, which helps the United States big time, and we'll protect you. We'll protect you. You don't need a military. Technically, they're protecting the whole Middle East, and particularly Saudi Arabia. So there's another issue, Ray, and this is a side point for all of you. Those countries are fake in the Middle East. The GCC countries, Kuwait, Qatar, name them. They're not real countries. They were created by the French and British in 1929. So we got to be careful who we support, but the United States doesn't care as long as in the outcome, the United States is in control of the Middle East. And this is the problem with this whole war. The United States surrounded Iran, and they decided to go to war with them. They decided to try to overthrow the government, take it over, divide it up, and take their oil. Now, Christian nationalists love this because Iran is evil. They're trying to hurt Israel. Yeah, part of the MOU, which Jay talked about. Jay talked about the MOU and said, well, the Iranians aren't holding up their end of the bargain. Yeah, they did. But part of the MOU was that the Israelis would get out of Lebanon, would stop fighting Lebanon, would stop terrorizing people in Palestine. So Iran is using their tactical advantage, the Strait of Hormuz, and that's natural. That's what anybody would do. But according to Jay and his Americans, we can't do that. We have to keep bombing people and killing people, no matter what. It doesn't matter how many people die, as long as we get what we want. Hey, Jay, did you ever hear about genocide in Gaza and Palestine? Hey, Jay, have you ever heard the phrase from the river to the sea, which is known as the Greater Israel Project? That's an ideological, religious, political vision that advocates for expanding Israeli sovereignty over territories beyond its internationally recognized borders. Guess which countries are the first ones on the list? Lebanon, Syria. Saudi Arabia is even on the list. So when you talk about how evil Iran is, let's first look at why they are like they are. They were not attacking anybody. They had proxies. Believe me, there's fighting going on in Syria right now. There's fighting going on in Yemen. If you haven't noticed, there's fighting going on all through the Middle East. And it isn't because of Iran. It's because America, God's country, destabilized every single country by going in, wreaking havoc, killing their leaders, and taking what they wanted. So those of you that want to stand on this Christian nationalist theme and salute America and raise the flag and ignore the death and destruction we're causing, your head's literally in the sand, pun intended. No, I never hear much condemnation from people like Jay, even from pastors, on this war, on the genocide that's going on. I've not heard anything. The pastor I know in the evangelical church I go to, won't talk about it at all. Why? Because you see, there's a fine line. Down deep, they're okay with it. Some people in their congregation are okay with it. Some might not be. So why make a stand? Why not just put your cojones in a bottle and put them on the shelf? Sometimes we have to make a stand, because if you don't stand for something, you'll fall for anything. Thanks for watching. Hey, listen, check us out on our next video. Check out our sister channel, Loud and Clear. And I'll see you next time right here on Clear Signal. Take care.